Welcome to Flag Hall at the National Museum of American History. We pretty much figure that this is where the magic happens. In our first episode, we took a look at some fragments from the original Star-Spangled Banner. The real flag lives behind this wall. All of the objects we've looked at so far are part of the story of the United States of America. But what about the stories that come from America before it was the United States?
About parts of the country that actually didn't join us until later, we're joined today by curator of Latino history and culture in the Division of Home and Community Life, Margaret Salazar-Porzio. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
So here we are in front of a giant case, and in this giant case we have what?
Well, we are going to look at a hide painting, a large hide painting that was found in a church in Santo Domingo in New Mexico, and it is of St. Anthony of Padua and the infant Jesus.
Great, well let's bring it out. Get ready guys, this is the big reveal. Nice, wow. Look at that, it's huge.
It is pretty big, and it's also incredibly delicate.
Oh, I bet. I so badly want to touch it, but I'm not allowed.
No, for conservation purposes, it probably won't go out on display ever again. But that's why we get to share it with the public in a venue like this.
Isn't that so cool? You're never going to see this ever again. Send it to your friends. One of the questions we received from viewers, which, by the way, we still want questions from everybody, is a little bit about St. Anthony. Do we know anything about him?
Well, St. Anthony was a member of the Franciscan order, and you can tell by his hairdo, actually, and he's pictured with a book that we believe to be of the rules of the Franciscan order. And he is also pictured holding the baby Jesus who appeared to him in a vision in his youth. St. Anthony is depicted with a brown robe of the Franciscan order and a knotted cord around his waist.
Okay, so that's
you can see the knots.
You can definitely see that.
And the knotted cord would have been used for sometimes self-flagellation, sometimes for praying purposes. Down here is a white ribbon that says San Antonio. And we're not sure what it would have said on this side because
Too bad it doesn't say like 1725 by artist so-and-so.
That would have been ideal.
That's not what happens in most history.
No. So these rounded hills also feature some pear-shaped trees. And perhaps these are some of like the palms that would have been laid at the feet of Jesus. This indigo sky and the white kind of clouds echo the baby Jesus's halo. And St. Francis is known as the patron saint of lost things. So if you pray to him, Catholics believe that he will help you find lost things.
This is obviously very old. Mm-hmm. What else do we know about the painting itself?
Sure. So it was collected in Santo Domingo, New Mexico, in 1897, and it is painted on elk hide. Okay. Now, there are debates over when it actually was produced and who produced it, and the debates are actually part of the interesting history of the object. So on one hand, there are people who believe that it was maybe painted as early as 1600, 1610.
Oh, wow.
Other sources say that it was painted in 1725 by a Franciscan monk. And then others say that it was even later, like early 1800s, and that it was painted by Native American, enslaved Native Americans in the missions.
Oh, wow.
So there are multiple different kinds of stories, and what those stories all tell us is that these are different kinds of traditions and different kinds of ways that it could have been produced, because many hide paintings were produced at the time. So it reflects a larger history of hide painting.
So you said a little bit about the fact that, you know, in 1600, 1725, even as late as 1810 when the Mexican Revolution started, none of this would have belonged to America. It's really interesting that this is an American history museum.
Yeah, and that's a question that we are always kind of grappling with and tackling is what is American history? And for me, I come from the Southwest, I'm from California, and so my understanding of American history starts well before the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, but also takes into account this long history of conquest and also of incorporation into the nation of new states and new places and new people. As the nation grew, the borders changed, and so it's a very interesting history, and it's part of what we aim to document here at American History.
Thanks for joining us today. Be sure to check out our next episode by following us online at americanhistory.si.edu. Our next object's Mr. Peanut. See you next time.